Welcome back to Deeper Conversations. I am Dr. Barbara Swinney, your life and holistic leadership coach and coach trainer. I am also the founder and CEO of Deeper Women Lead Global and the founder of this podcast, Deeper Conversations. This is a platform where women in leadership come to heal, lead, and learn how to leverage their stories and strategies for life, love, and leadership. So, as you can imagine, on this podcast, we'll be talking to powerful women about life, love, and leadership. They're going to share their strategies for healing, for leading, and then teaching you how to leverage your story, how to use your story to impact other women, how to use your story to start a business, how to use your story to create a platform. So listen in to all of these deeper women. Welcome back to Deeper Conversations. Listen, I'm super excited today. This is our first episode of Deeper Conversations. And guess what? Guys, we're making history. We're making history because we have Miss Donna Middlebrooks here as our very first guest on Deeper Conversations. And we're going to go, what, Donna?
Deeper.
Deeper. We're going to go deeper. Donna, before we get started, why don't you go ahead and tell the people just a little bit about who you are?
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Donna Middlebrooks. I am a associate broker / realtor here in Atlanta. I'm actually licensed in Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida. Primarily, I work with residential sales, whether it be your first home, your second home, your move-up home, your investment home. But my mission is to make sure that we increase Black wealth and build Black legacy.
I love it. I love it. You've definitely been instrumental on my journey to wealth. I'm still on it.
Absolutely.
And I still have you here.
Generational legacy. That's what we're trying to build.
Absolutely. So now that they know what you do, give us a little bit of your story to kind of help us understand who you are.
So I'm a Jersey girl, born and raised in New Jersey. My parents are originally from South Carolina, so I have ties to South Carolina. I would say primarily, I came up in a two-parent family home and was raised pretty traditionally. My father always, my brothers, my cousins always treated us as the queens we were, I was never called out of my name. I was always told I was a queen. I was a princess. Wherever we went, we were protected by the male for whom we are with. Like I say, being born in Jersey, even when we would go over to New York, I can remember a time where my brother and I were walking down a New York street, and in New York, or when you're walking in the north, the man always walks to the outside, or the man walks before you and opens the door. And my brother was flirting with a young lady, and she was just like, "But you with a woman?" And he's like, "No, that's my sister." And I had to educate her that that's his role. Whatever woman he is with, he is the protector for that woman. I love it. And so my story just comes from a very loving environment, a very protected environment.
I love it. It's awesome that you had that support system of your male role models in your family.
Yes.
Not every girl has that.
So
in fact, I would probably venture to say about 75% of women don't feel protected, especially by the Black male. So it's awesome that you've had that experience. How has that experience helped to shape you, or how has it made you feel sometimes like an outsider?
I'm glad you said as an outsider, because I remember probably about 15 years ago, I started working with a friend who was a survivor of domestic violence, and we started a foundation called Fresh Start for Women. And I remember having this same question asked of me as we were asking the women at a retreat their story. And all of them had stories of abuse and just this lack of self-confidence in who they were, because they had seen either through their fathers or their uncles the abuse in relationships, and so there was no example of what I just shared. And so when it came to me, I remember them saying, "Miss Donna, what's your story?" And I said, "I'm ashamed to tell you I don't have one."
Oh, wow.
And they were like, "You have to have a story." And I said, "Well, I don't. I've never been abused. I've never been verbally or physically abused. I've never felt less than a woman. I've never been told I'm anything but a child of God." And so as I was sharing that and sharing the how instrumental my uncles and my dad and my cousins and the men in my life were. And even as I got into my corporate career, you know, my mentors that were even black and white men, they were like, we didn't know women like you existed.
Oh, wow.
And I said, excuse me? And because their stories were so different, they didn't know that this was a story as well. And so they thanked me for being able to stand before, because now I gave them a new model. And I realized from there, I'm a lifetime Girl Scout.
Yay.
And so I would share that even with my Girl Scouts, and they were like, we didn't know, because I was a Girl Scout for inner city troops in Atlanta.
Wow.
And so they didn't know.
Wow.
You know, I had young ladies I would pick up from a different house every time I picked them up.
Wow.
They didn't have a suitcase.
Wow.
You know, and so they were just, I didn't realize that my story was the story.
And, you know, Donna, this really is a podcast for women in leadership to heal, lead, and leverage their stories. And we talk a lot about healing, and you talked about how you didn't really have anything deep at that point to heal from, but I believe you have a backstory. But before we get to that point, what traumatic thing have you had to heal from?
I would say the most traumatic thing for me was at 28, my dad, that person that was the provider and the protector and the, you know, just Friday night puzzle nights was for me and my dad. That he is a truck driver, or was a truck driver, long-term truck driver, and I got a call that he was missing. And we were typically, from the time I went off to college, my dad and I spoke every Sunday morning. We either spoke on the phone or his route brought him back through South Carolina, where I went to college. And so it was a Friday, and they were like, we haven't heard from your daddy. He's missed picking up his loads. He was an auto hauler. And we, you know, started just kind of calling around, trying to figure out. And then next thing we know, we started doing a calling tree, because this is before we had all of these, you know, all of these gadgets that they are today. So
no Facebook,
we had no Facebook,
social
no
media.
social media. We were literally on the phones calling hospitals, calling, you know, the truck stops to see if his truck was there. And we were getting nothing. And so about 24 hours, I made the decision that something is wrong. My spirit said something is wrong. And I told my aunts and uncles, his brothers and sisters, and my mom that I was getting on a plane and I'm going to find my daddy. And so by the time I got to California, his vendors had put together a map for me to tell me what route he would have been traveling to pick up his load.
Oh, wow.
My best friend from grade school, who grew up with my dad also, was at UCLA at the time. And so she and I got in a rental car and we started going up and down the highway. And we got off at every exit, because for those of you that don't know, truckers, when you notice trucks sitting on the side of the road, it's because they're pulling off because they're resting. And there may not be a truck stop close enough, so they just pull off to the side of the road and they rest. And so we did that. So we went up and down, and we drove probably for about 36 hours, and we were just exhausted. And we got to a point of exhaustion, and we literally had missed an exit, and we said, well, we'll circle back to that exit. We're just going to get to a hotel. Got to a hotel, got settled in, literally were sitting down to eat, and my mom called and said they found the truck. And so we rushed back to the hotel, got our stuff, got back on the road. And I don't know what the time lapse was, but at some point my mom called again and told my girlfriend to move over or pull over. She pulls over, and that's at the moment that she told me that my dad had been found dead in his truck. And of course I lost it. I'm a daddy's girl. I was hysterical, and I can tell you, even this, that was at 28. And so many years later, I can still sit here and know that my girlfriend slapped the crap out of me. She was like, get it together. We got to get back. And so at that point, somehow she got me out of the middle of the road, and we got back in the car. We drove back to her home, and one of my aunts flew in from Jersey, so I wouldn't be there alone. But I do remember when we got back to her parking garage at her home, she said to me, I don't know how we got here. She was literally holding the steering wheel and said, I don't know how we got here. And I said, what do you mean you don't know how we got here? Because I'm delirious. I'm going in and out. And I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. So I don't remember from whence we left. I know we were probably 5 hours out of LA because of where we had driven. And I'm like, I don't know. And when my aunt flew in the next morning, she said that we told her what happened. And she said, well, you know, your angels were on the side. And from that day on, that probably was the turning point for me to recognize that, you know, God's got us. My aunt said the angel that was on assignment for your dad most likely is the same angel that was on assignment for you, because they knew our family couldn't take two tragedies at one time. And so
That's good.
his assignment was over with your dad, and it was on to you.
That's
and so I
good.
started doing deeper
Yes.
research on angels
Yeah.
and understanding angels and the roles that they play. So that was my turning point. That was my turning point, was realizing that we have not only a protector and a provider that we are given on earth when we're blessed to be born into certain families, but also, the God our Father
Yes.
also assigns angels to us. So
Yes.
I got a daddy angel up there right now.
Yay. So, Donna, you know that healing is not a one-time
Oh my gosh,
thing.
no.
It is a complete evolution, and I think we are constantly evolving and learning how to heal, and we're often disappointed, and we have to heal from disappointments.
Yes.
How do you stay on top of your healing?
So for me, everybody makes these end of the year and start of the year resolutions. For me, and I'm starting to see it more on social media, our birth month, our born month is when we are starting afresh. So I'm born in October, as you know, and I celebrate big. So for me, October is my renewal month. It's when I truly reflect back on my year and see, did I meet the goals? Did I accomplish what I set out to accomplish for? And how do I refresh myself and prepare for the next year? So I don't wait till December. It's October for me. And I take that entire month to really revisit personal goals, professional goals, where am I holistic spiritually, financially, physically, mentally, what did I get right? I even come to you all. I come to my friendship circle because we support each other that way, because we do our vision boards. And so, we come back and we look, did we hit it? Did we hit it? Did we miss the mark? Were we accountable to who we were supposed to be accountable to? But that's my time of renewal, refresh, and recovery and healing and just celebration.
Yes,
so
that's good.
Celebrating the accomplishments, but also recognizing, where do I still need to grow and learn?
That's good. Being intentional and being on purpose, that's one of the tenets of being a deeper woman. That's one of the tenets.
Yes.
And I've always seen you be strong. And what I'm realizing is I've always been like the strong girl. My whole circle is a circle full of strong girls.
Yes.
So how do you, as a strong girl, handle your struggles, or what is something that you still struggle with even as a strong girl?
You know what? So what I do is I make sure too that I recognize what I need in my circle.
That's good.
Because sometimes those of us that are so strong, we're so full and we're feeding into others, we forget to leave space for somebody to feed into us.
Absolutely.
And so I always make sure that there is allowance for someone to mentor into me.
That's good.
Right?
That's good.
We sometimes fill ourselves up too much in that overflow of trying to get to everyone else that we forget that we need to be refilled to actually fill others. So that's very important for me to understand what that looks like. And so that's where I start.
That's good.
One of the things I typically say, and I'm sure you've probably heard me say, is what I love about living in Atlanta is when you listen to them talk about the traffic in the morning, they talk about ITP and OTP. So for those of you that may not be familiar with Atlanta, we have a highway called 285 that circles around, and when they're referring to the traffic, they say inside the perimeter is looking kind of bad today. It's an accident on this side, or outside the perimeter going northbound is looking bad. And I actually relate that to my life. We have to be very conscious about who's ITP and who's OTP.
That's good.
Everybody's not supposed to be ITP.
That's good.
Everybody's not supposed to be in your inner perimeter.
That's good.
And it's important for you to recognize people's roles, responsibilities, and timing to know, should they be ITP at this moment in time, or should they be OTP and they need to be way, way up in Alpharetta somewhere.
That's good.
While you down here in the city.
That's good.
Right?
That's good. That's good.
So
have you ever, Donna, in any of your relationships with your strong girlfriends, sometimes there's a push and a pull. There's a push and a pull. There are times when you've got it all together and they don't, and you have to pour into them, and then there are times when I just can't handle this today and you need them to pour into you. Does that happen? Do you find that dynamic in your relationships?
I am so thankful that I have a strong girlfriend circle that believes in transparency.
That's good.
Authentic transparency. Because yesterday morning I woke up and needed to be poured into. And I reached out to one of my sister friends. I'm going to try not to tear up today, y'all. But I reached out to her yesterday morning and said, we need to pray. I said, are you in town and what is your schedule this weekend? And she said, I'm available tonight and tomorrow after 4 o'clock. I said, make it tonight. And she came over to my home yesterday and we prayed for hours. And we walked around my entire house. We covered the house. We prayed. Without words.
Yeah.
She didn't even say, what do we need to pray for?
That's good.
We just walked around the house and we just prayed in abundance and thankfulness and in glory. And so that was me reaching out saying
That's
I need
good.
to be poured into.
Yes, that's good.
And at the same time, at the end of the night, when we finished, she said, I needed this. Thank you, because I needed to pour into you so you could pour back into me. This
That's
filled
good.
me up because you allowed me to pour into you.
That's good.
So I'm thankful for transparency.
Yes.
Because at no point do I have a girlfriend circle that does not allow us to be raw with each other, truthful with each other, and not have to worry about, is she going to hold this against me for the next 10 or 15 years?
Isn't it beautiful, Donna, when you can just call? I had a friend that I reached out to, and I told her, I said, I just need to break. Just let me break. And like you said, they never asked what was wrong because for some reason we see that thing in each other and we know that place is not permanent.
Correct.
We know that we've got to process this. Let's process it quickly so we can move forward. Because we know what we're called to do.
Correct.
Because we live on purpose. And when you live on purpose, you can't live in the past.
And you have to live on purpose with resolution.
Yes.
And so my friendship circle and I remember it's been a long time I've been in my corporate career, but it still applies. We give you 5 minutes to vent.
Yes, that's
so
good.
you can call, but the protocol is you got 5 minutes to vent. We're gonna let you whine it out. You can do whatever. At the end of the day, so what's the solution?
That's
now,
good.
how are we moving past? Because you've cried, you did whatever you need to do to get that out your system.
That's
now, how
good.
do we move forward?
That's good.
Because we, as Black women, as leaders professionally and personally in our families and in our careers, don't have a lot of time allowance to do that.
That's right.
So you've got to be able to deal with it. You got to recognize it. Deal with it. Call it what it is. Call it out.
And I think we understand the importance of giving people permission to hold you accountable.
Yes.
And when you can be held accountable by somebody, that means you're not leaving yourself up to yourself. Because, they say absolute power does what? It corrupts.
Absolutely.
So when you're just managing yourself and you're the only one in charge, you don't have anybody on the outside looking in, it's likely that you're going to go astray or stay in a place that you don't need to stay for too long because you don't have the transparency.
Right.
Because when you're all focused on yourself, you tend to hide things from other people.
And if you don't have a circle that allows you to be transparent, check your circle.
Yes. Yes.
Because my circle allows me to be transparent. And if I can't be transparent with you and you can't be transparent with me, then this may not be where we're supposed to be this time.
That's good.
And a lot of people don't check themselves and feel comfortable with who that is. And secondly, I would say is, yes, we are supposed to have accountability, but one person may not be your accountability for everything.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, one person can't be your accountability for everything. So my spiritual accountability partner is different from my physical health and wellness accountability partner.
Right.
That's my sister friend that gets up and gets on her Peloton every morning and is pinging us in our pillow and pumps group saying, it's 7 a.m. Are you on your bike?
Right.
She's not the same one that came over and prayed last night.
Right. That is absolutely correct.
So recognize that you need accountability for the areas. Your spiritual partner can't necessarily be the person that is your accountability professionally.
Right.
If they don't have a corporate experience or if they're not an entrepreneur, they don't understand from whence you come.
And I think the important thing is not to discount where they're not able to fill in.
Right.
But appreciate where they can.
Yes.
Because sometimes we throw people away because we feel like they're not on a certain level or they can't speak our language or whatever. But sometimes you just need just a homebound girlfriend to say, girl, that ain't it.
That's not
don't
it.
do that. Don't go over there.
Discount the messenger for the message.
That's good.
Correct. Don't discount the messenger for the message.
Now, Donna, can you give us 3 tips? Give the ladies 3 tips for getting unstuck, for starting that healing process, because we have so many women who don't even know that they're stuck. What can you tell the woman who's been in a place for a certain time how to start digging yourself out of that place?
I think, I actually have more than 3. And they all begin with an R. So let me start with revelation. I think revelation is when you acknowledge. When you acknowledge that there's something that you need to come out of, right?
That's good.
And so when that thing is revealed to you, you then have to deal with how to address that thing.
That's good.
And so once it's revealed, you then got to deal with recognition of it. And
That's
when you
good.
recognize it, then you have to deal with, what am I going to do with it? And when you start analyzing what you're going to recognize and deal with, then you have to go into some type of recovery mode. And when you go into a recovery mode, that's going to start your healing process. Because now
good.
you've revealed it. It's revealed itself to you. You've acknowledged it by recognizing it. And now you're going to say, I'm going to come out of this thing. I'm
That's
going to
good.
recover. And after recovery is redemption.
Oh, I love it.
And
I
when
love
you
it.
are redeemed, you have now walked through that thing.
I love it.
Right? And
Yes.
guess what comes after redemption? Rejoicing.
Rejoicing. I love
We get
it.
to celebrate.
I love it.
So that might not have been 3 points, but I live by those R's.
Yes, I love that.
They
I
were
love- give us those
shared
again,
with
Donna.
me.
That's-
So you got to have revelation.
Revelation.
Which is the to understand that there is an issue. You got to recognize it and acknowledge it.
Yes.
Then you got to go through the recovery of it.
That's good.
You got to go through the phases of recovery and healing. And then you go through redemption.
That's good.
Right? So once you redeem and you're like, all right, I'm out, I'm good, you're getting a little
That's
higher.
good.
And then you rejoice, you
That's
celebrate.
good. Revelation, recognition, recovery, and redemption.
And then rejoice.
And then rejoice.
Celebrate that
I love
thing,
it.
because baby, you done came through. We
I
don't stay in the
love it.
valley. We come through.
I love it. Now, Donna, all of the women want to know how they can find you. How can they get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So as I said, by profession, I'm a realtor. So I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Donna Sells the Dream. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, or literally by my name, Donna or Middlebrooks. You will always see my smiling face with this bun and typically a little flower in my hair that I forgot this morning. But yeah, you can find me there. You can reach me directly. I am open. So 770-314-6059 is my direct line to reach out, whether it be for real estate, investing, or you just need some advice.
And we didn't even talk about the whole investing. We're going to have to invite you back on to talk about
Yes.
investing. I know you're doing some international investing.
International.
You guys are doing some things. We guys
Yes,
are
we
doing
are,
some
ma'am.
things
You're an
big.
investor.
Yes.
We're doing big things. So we're going
Yes.
to drop that nugget. We're doing some things internationally in the Dominican Republic. So you can certainly check out Amade Samana, which is the soul of Samana,
Yes.
and Tempa Salah Apart Hotel.
Yes.
But certainly you can reach out to me directly if you're looking to take your life higher and
That's good. And deeper.
And building those
Yes.
legacies so that you have generational wealth for you and your children's children's children. Holla at your girl.
Yeah. So Donna, she's been on this whole real estate journey with me since I went through divorce 6 or 7 years ago. She helped me sell the marital property, buy the new home, sell the new home. Now I'm in a rental and we're in transition.
Yes.
But the way that transition happened,
Yes.
there's a whole story behind that.
Yes.
So Donna, in February, we were getting ready for Deeper Women Lead Global. The event was happening in March. My house flooded in February. The fence fell down.
Preparation.
10 days before the conference.
Preparation.
And after the conference, we were headed to the Dominican. I was invited to the Dominican by Donna to go to an investment seminar. She told me about some of her girlfriends who had gotten together and come up with this idea of, why is it that we're always going to live on somebody else's or stay on somebody else's resort? So they started investing, buying property in the Dominican. So I went to the investment seminar and I saw all of these people that looked like me, that sound like me, that were
Yes.
credentialed like me.
Yes.
And I sat in that audience and I listened to them and I was thinking, if they're like me, why am I not doing things like them?
Yes.
And as I sat there trying to figure out how can I come up with this money, my daughter was there, my 23-year-old was there, and she looked at me when they asked, do you have any questions? And I said, no, I don't have any questions. She said, you don't have any questions? I said, I think I've already made up my mind. She said, what do you mean? I said, we're selling the house. She said, what? You're selling the house?
Yeah,
She
look
said,
at that.
okay, I guess we're just going to be on the back of the RTVs and taking the ride along. We came home. Oh my gosh. I said to Donna, I want to sell the house. You said, The next 6 weeks of your life are going to be a whirlwind.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Are you ready?
I said, I'm ready, Donna.
Yeah.
So we came home, put the house on the market.
I got chills.
The house sold in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, ladies, be willing to take a risk.
Yes.
Because I knew that house was supposed to be provide my first opportunity to invest. But I thought it was going to be a rental property.
But we knew when you bought that house, it was a transition.
Yes, we knew that.
It was a transitional home.
Yeah, we knew that.
It was leaving the marital home to go to a transitional home that was going to be a safe environment for you and your girls.
Absolutely.
But we knew it was not a permanent home.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things that I try to share with people is that in our family culture, and in our culture as blacks and browns, we were taught, go to college, get a good job, stay there for 30 years, invest in your 401k, purchase a home, and you do that for life.
Yes.
And what
30 years.
For 30 years.
Yes.
And what I've tried to teach people is that a home is shelter.
Yes.
It is, I certainly want you to make it a home, but it is shelter and it is a financial investment. It is where most black families build their wealth because of the equity that you can build in that home. And so we have to make wise decisions. It's not necessarily to stay there for 30 years and first of all, pay that mortgage over 30 years. Because when the last time y'all looked at an amortization statement? That's a story for another day. However, understanding it is a vehicle, it is a tool, it is a resource. And that's what you got.
That's good.
You
that's
recognize
exactly what
that it is a vehicle and it is a tool. And since we already knew that it was transitional, you already were ready when we went to the DR.
Right.
So when we got to the DR and you got on that ATV, vroom, vroom.
Yes.
For her first
Driving
time, I
through
want
water.
you all to know, going through the water, going through the mud, going through the springs.
Yes.
The springs of life, going through the 4,000 acres that we own for our resort and saying, look at all of this.
Yes.
All of this right here.
But here's what I knew when I was there. I knew that I didn't get on a plane, run around trying to get my daughter's passport and all of that for us to get there and then come back home and do the same thing.
Correct.
I knew that something was going to have to be different when I came home.
And it was going to have to be huge.
And I needed something radical. I needed something big, something that I had never done before. And I'm telling you, ladies, when you take a risk, when you bet on you, your life will change forever. It's given me the confidence. I've always been a pretty confident girl, but I've been kind of insecure undercover. But it's given me the confidence in myself, me knowing that you can do a thing. You can do a lot of things.
A lot of things.
And it's opened up so many doors for me. Just personally, I always tell people, when you get to all of you, you feel productive when you before you even produce anything. You feel productive because you just learn how to live in your fullness, live all out, go all out, and do the thing that you need to do. Because of that trip to the DR, because of the investing that I'm doing there with you guys, and just seeing how you operate and move,
a whole new world.
And understand that, you're one of them. You're moving like them. You're that. You're running
you're one
with
of them.
Yes, you're one of them. That has given me a different model, even to demonstrate for my girls. To show them they're even thinking differently.
Let's talk about that.
Exposure.
Because that was the first trip internationally for them. And although both of them weren't able to attend, just God showed up and showed out because your daughter, the oldest one, said, this is how we travel.
Right. That's right.
Because we don't recognize we stayed in a private villa. We had a chef come in and prepare our meals. And we think we can't afford this. We think we're supposed to go sit on a resort, all inclusive, and pay these people thousands of dollars and not have intimate experiences. To be able to get up and walk to the beach each morning. And it was just private. There was no one out there but us walking and talking.
It was beautiful.
To be able to get in our private pool and swim laps at midnight. To sit around in our own little villas. Because we had our own little village. Right?
Oh, it was beautiful.
And so think about the tone we've now set for her. I remember her saying, I got to tell my girlfriends, this is how we travel.
That's right. And so she said, I'm not going if it doesn't require a passport.
Okay, that's right. I'm not going if it doesn't require a passport. And so that's already legacy beginning. And I also think back to when you were looking at transitioning and starting this. I remember sitting down probably 8 years ago.
Yes.
And you saying, Donna, I want to start speaking.
Yes.
I want to start having speaking engagements. And I challenged you and I said, sit down and tell me what that looks like. And you said, if I can get 3 a year.
Yes.
You said 3.
You did.
You said, can I get 3 a year?
Yeah.
And look at us now.
And then I asked my daughter the other day, how did this get to be my life?
Yeah.
And we look and say, I ask, how did this get to be my life? But it wasn't done without intentionality.
That's correct.
Even though I didn't always know what I was doing, it wasn't done without intentionality. I had a vision. I knew that something was going to happen if I kept doing what I knew to do.
Right.
This dream that I had in my heart had no choice
but to be birthed. Right, but to be birthed. And that's the thing, I think that so many of us, whatever that dream is that has been planted in your spirit, that's your baby.
Yes.
That's your dream, and don't let anybody deter you from it. That is your dream. It should be birthed. And then that's where you need to check your circle.
That's right.
Because your circle should be supporting you and lifting you up.
That's right.
Yeah. And you should be having fun.
Yes, while you do it. We got a chance to hang out.
Fun.
Yeah.
We out there
we are having fun.
On the ATVs, wilding out, doing the little queen wave to the people in the village. And just
it was a beautiful experience. It was a life-changing experience. And that is what I feel like my job is, to wake people up to who they are so they can live in the fullness of who they are. And so other people can benefit from your life.
Yeah, guess what,
That's
y'all?
important.
The revolution is being televised.
That's it.
How about that?
The revolution is being televised. I love it. I love it.
I love it.
All right, Donna, we're going to wrap this thing up so we can get to the next guest. But I'm so thankful and excited that you've been on the Deeper Women Deeper Conversations, which is hosted by Deeper Women Lead Global.
Absolutely. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. All right, guys, I'm Dr. Barbara Swinney, and I am out of here. You can catch Deeper Conversations on all of the major podcast platforms and on YouTube. Go to Deeper Leader TV, and you'll be able to find every episode of Deeper Conversations.